yo nací en una pequeña finquita de café. Y en un momento dado, que yo fui intervenido quirúrgicamente del corazón porque me dieron 2 infartos, el cardiólogo me dijo, ¿y por qué a ti te gusta tanto el café? Y yo dije, yo nací en una finca de café y yo creo que yo nací debajo de un palo de café. Yo amo la agricultura y amo la caficultura, porque esa fue la primera planta que yo vi, que me dio vida, y yo todos los días me levanto y si no me tomo 2 o 3 tragos de café no me siento bien. Para mí el café es un medicamento y es sagrado.
I'm gonna be a father when I was 21 years, so I had to look for something to do. So the needed thing was to be a farmer with my dad, because at that time my dad had a big farm, and he ain't got plenty of time to be at the farm. So I had to, with a small salary, was like less than $100 a week at that time, and I started to look for something else. That's the reason why I started buying coffee from small farmers around my father's farm, because he has a building, he has a coffee dryers, and he had all the machines that I need at that time. So I started my business and started doing some extra money, and was, what can I say, was nice, because I need money to go my kids that time, yeah.
He has been in the family since 1846. The first person that came from Corsica is my great-great-grandfather, Domingo Mariani Domenici. He arrived in Puerto Rico around 1829. He was 20 years old. By 1846, Santa Clara was already starting to produce coffee.
The people talk about the coffee that my grandfather produced, that is for export, that is one of the best coffee in the island, because they care very, very well about the quality. This one is on my grandfather's farm in Saliente, the first farm that he owned. I think it's necessary to repeat this to get the same quality from our coffee that my grandfather make years ago.
Part of the day is a nursery. We have a nursery operation, and that's year-round. That's not a seasonal thing. That's year-round, where we do trees. We grow them from seed in sandbanks, and then we have the little bitty trees, and they're sold. A lot from my father. We would look at the plant. We would look, say, a cuerda, where there's coffee planted. We would look at where the plant is growing, which we do contour planting. We follow the contour rather than a straight row, because that contributes to erosion. So they would see that the plants are planted in contours and following the contour of the soil.
With our high production costs here in Puerto Rico, we have to do more in less land. Traditionally, in the Puerto Rican coffee production, the recommendations were to plant 1,000 coffee trees per acre. But that's a very low planting density. Here at the farm, I maintain that 6 feet distance between rows, but then we plant each coffee tree 4 feet apart. So I increased that 1,000 tree per acre to a little over 1,730 coffee trees per acre. So I almost double the density, and with a higher density, we can increase production.
We still maintain conservation practices, erosion control, shade grown, with regular traditional farming applications to be more effective. Because one thing that we learn is we have to be effective to be sustainable. You don't get the high yield as you would do sun or full exposure cultivation, but with the effectiveness of certain practices, you can level out its production and therefore a certain yield. Moving forward, I feel that yield is important, but the livelihood of the plant and the state in which the plant is in is more important for the prosperity of the farmer.
So shade-grown coffee yields a lot better quality to the final cup. And this helps the coffee develop more sugars in the fruit. And more sugars in the fruit impairs better aroma and flavor qualities to the seed, which is what we consume in coffee.
The most difficult right now is the people. We don't have enough people to work. And the coffee industry is very labor intensive.
Coffee farming is basically, I call it the economic motor or engine of the mountainous region in Puerto Rico. There used to be a lot more coffee farmers, coffee producing families. It's come for decades and generations of people migrating from the mountain to the city.
There was a huge production of coffee, and because it was so much, the coffee was washed here. And these tanks, then the water would drain. So this was the area where the coffee. Upstairs from here, there was a huge depulper where the coffee would come down after being depulped. That part was not able to be preserved because of many reasons. But we maintained the ruins.
La industria del café en el centro de la isla, más que una industria económica, es una industria sociable y que te da empleo a toda la gente que vive en el campo. Si tú no empleas la gente en la industria cafetalera, no hay otros productos porque el café, la cosecha de café, los meses de enero, febrero y marzo es la florecida. Abril, mayo y junio, el café, como dice el jíbaro, engorda y la producción es de agosto a noviembre. Si la industria desaparece, la gente se va para Estados Unidos, para San Juan, para otro lado y para otro, y la agricultura sigue para abajo. Sigue reduciéndose, porque si no hay mano de obrera, ¿cómo tú vas a desarrollar una industria cafetalera?
Puerto Rico as a whole is in a very difficult socioeconomic position right now. There's, even in the cities or urban areas, there's not the desired economic opportunities we would like. And I include myself, we hope that taking on the problem with our own hands might improve the situation.
Que la gente no gana lo suficiente para sacar a su familia hacia adelante. Mucha gente dice, los agricultores son millonarios. Sí, somos millonarios porque vamos a la finca, cortamos un racimo de guineo, un plátano, un pollo o algo y hacemos una comida, hacemos un bembé, y en ese aspecto sí somos millonarios, pero no. La verdad es que hay una escasez de todo.
Y esa mano de obra, pues básicamente, con el pasar de los años y el pasar de los ciclones, ha ido mermando. Y se nos ha hecho cada día más difícil el poder coger café. Y cuando llega el momento de recolectar el café, se te pierda porque no hay la gente para cogerlo. Pero lo más frustrante es eso. Tú esforzarte por tener una finca bonita, porque los que amamos el café somos orgullosos de lo que tenemos. Es como una familia, ¿verdad? Que uno dice, pues mi familia pues es esto, es lo otro. Que sean personas de bien, es un orgullo. Y para un agricultor, el que venga una persona a visitar su finca y pueda mostrarle una finca bien bonita, aunque no deje chavo, pero se siente orgulloso de lo que tiene. Y el orgullo de producir y que tú logres producir y cuando vas a recolectarlo no lo puedas recolectar, es algo bien frustrante.
Harvesting coffee means that you take the branch with delicacy so as not to disturb it, and then you pick the berries that are ripe. I'm talking about harvesting quality coffee. Otherwise, you can just take all of them, green, ripe, semi-ripe. But for quality coffee, they're picked one by one. And then they continue on to the next tree and the next tree. What that means is that the same tree may be visited 3 times during the same harvest because the berries do not mature at the same rate. So you take a tree, you pick the ripes, but you leave the greens. And then you go to the next tree and the next tree for the whole farm. And then about 2 weeks later, you come back and you start all over again. It takes a little bit to harvest it, but that's how you ensure that it's really ripe.
Ya quedó.
Te voy a dar un detalle. No es lo mismo que tú pongas a coger café a una mujer que a un hombre. La mujer tiene más dedicación, tiene esa delicadeza que se necesita para tú coger café. Un hombre es más salvaje, sin ofenderte, es más salvaje. Vamos aquí que hay que coger 20 almudes hoy. La mujer va más con más calma, con más delicadeza para aquí. Y eso es algo que hoy en día están diferentes organizaciones tratando de resaltar el trabajo de la mujer en la agricultura. Y se siente brutal que por fin estén reconociendo a la mujer, porque mayormente las mujeres están detrás de un hombre, porque yo sé de mujeres que han llevado una finca durante años, pero el que está el principal es el esposo. Y yo creo que ya hoy en día ya eso está bueno. Ya tienen que darle la importancia que la mujer amerita, porque estamos ahí desde que nacemos, estamos ahí 24/7 llevando una finca, llevando unos procesos, cuidando una familia, dividiéndonos entre 1000 partes, pero aquí estamos dando el todo por el todo.
If you select the coffee cherry mature, red, or in some cases purple, you know, that's where everything starts. That's where you start to do everything right. But if you pick that coffee and you went through the work of picking it maturely, right, in this perfect ripe stage, then you better make sure you process that the right way, and then you dry it that way, and you make sure you roast it the right way.
My grandmother used to tell me that an acre of land here was like $2, $3, $4 only. But this was, almost impossible to get. And Santa Clara was around 1,500 acres when in its bloom.
We currently have like 5 acres planted from one farm that is 315 acres, and the other farm is 24 acres. Because we work a lot with small farmers from the area. We buy their coffee from them and we process it, okay? And we pay a higher price. Since we sell it at a higher price, we pay the highest price to them. I mean, the chain has to be well fed in order for this model to work.
Bueno, me desarrollé en una finca de café y trabajaba con mi papá en todo el proceso de café, o sea que lo conozco, pues, te diría que a perfección. Y lo que aprendí allí, eso lo estoy practicando aquí. Como por ejemplo, secar el café al sol, eso yo lo hacía desde que yo tenía 9 años. Y me apasiona bregar con café. Eso lo siento como que es parte de mí. Yo considero que en mis venas lo que coge es cafeína. El proceso que nosotros utilizamos es el proceso de lavado. O sea, se coge el café hoy, se despulpa hoy, se lava hoy y hoy mismo comienza el proceso de secado. En el beneficiado húmedo hay una máquina que clasifica todo el café que flota, que es un grano, pues, el grano de café se compone de dos pepitas. Y si hay una pepita que está vana, ¿verdad? Tiene aire, pues flota. Pero hay una pepita que está buena. Entonces esa máquina lo selecciona y lo tira a una despulpadora. Ese café pues, se procesa y se seca.
It's one of the few houses I know of that has, agriculture integrated into the infrastructure of the house. You know, we're sitting on the second floor, which is the family casona, the kind of formal living quarters. The working guts of the house are below us. And then below that are those trays that slide out on the rails, which are pretty cool. I mean, you see some sliding tray systems around the island. It's not unique, but I haven't seen too many that are built into the actual house. And when it's raining, you slide them in. And when it's not raining, you pull them out. You know, in a lot of places that they process coffee, you don't have these afternoon rains every day, so you don't need that system. So there's this kind of like adaptation to the environment over like time that you can kind of witness in some of these places.
Entonces, ¿qué sucede? Que una vez que nosotros lo echamos aquí, pues entonces las gavetas manualmente salen. Es un sistema que está diseñado para que cualquier persona con poca fuerza, vamos a decirlo así, pueda manejarla. En cada una de estas gavetas aproximadamente le echamos 150 libras de café. Ellas van a estar allí aproximadamente 4 días. Una vez que la gaveta la sacamos al sol, o los empleados o yo, pues la tenemos que mover cada 3 horas. El café va a estar allá arriba aproximadamente por 4 o 5 días, de acuerdo al clima, de acuerdo al sol que tengamos. Por supuesto, si cae un aguacero, pues a correr y a guardar gavetas. Que lo que hacemos es que saca el café de abajo y lo sube y el de arriba lo baja. Por fuerza de gravedad, él va funcionando. Sí, la gaveta se mueve, pero ya no se va a caer. Y nosotros vamos rodando el café. Cada 3 horas hacemos exactamente esta vuelta. Una vez que tiene 3 días aproximadamente, nosotros vamos a sacar un muestreo. Lo llevamos a un laboratorio porque el café sale de aquí con una humedad específica. El café tiene que salir del 13 al 10% de humedad, para que entonces pase a un almacén.
Esto es el beneficiado seco. Beneficiado seco que comprende el área de secado, que es secado al sol. Tiene un almacén de 12,000 pies cuadrados, donde tiene equipos para clasificar el café. Y luego de eso es que se puede pasar a las máquinas y para sacarle el pergamino o la cascarilla, que es una lámina que lo cubre al granito después de seco. Y entonces iría al proceso del pilado, que es sacarle la cascarilla. Se clasifica por tamaño, se clasifica por densidad, por peso, y se clasifica por color. Todas esas clasificaciones que se hacen es buscando lo mejor de lo mejor.
It's a selection process to select the best beans, only the best beans, okay, to have a specialty coffee, okay? You cannot have more than 5 defects in a 300-gram sample in order to be specialty coffee. And it have to taste good also. It makes it taste better.
Every coffee from each origin has its own natural characteristics. For example, bean density and or its internal composition is very different. So every coffee has its own way of roasting.
When you get into roasting, you have to get into physics and organic chemistry, and it's a very complicated thing. So, I mean, I learn something new every day. Anything that you do in the machine, you know, it's gonna affect the quality of what's coming out of the coffee. And then you want consistency as well. So you gotta know what you're doing, and you have to be able to do it consistently every time. Because, you know, once you sell a bag of coffee and people like it, you know, you don't wanna like come back and sell it another bag tasting different.
60% of the quality of the coffee comes from the origin. The variety of the plant, the climate, the pruning, the fertilizing, the rain that happened that year, the terroir, basically. 20%, it's the conservation. How do you store it? How do you take it from one place to another? How do you treat that coffee until the point that it's roasted? Then the other 20% is the revelation. The roasting, the barista, the water, the treatment, how much coffee do you use, the grinder, all those elements come into that revelation. But the 60% of the quality of the coffee comes from the origin.
Ahora tenemos tus boletos para Farruko, así que pendiente cuando indiquemos, logra primera llamada y gana fácil. Farruko este viernes en el Coliseo de Puerto Rico.
We lived here in Old San Juan, and I said, I mean, we just have to take the coffee straight to the people. So this was available, this place in Old San Juan. And we were a block away from where we lived. Here we had the local tourists from Puerto Rico. We had the tourists that came from outside, from the States and other parts of the world. And we had the locals that work here in Old San Juan also and lived here.
They were very happy to have Puerto Rican coffee served so nearby. They always came and said, oh, I remember going to my grandfather's house and having a cup of coffee, or when I was little, I went to the farm. It's so great that you're reviving all of this. And it became a community.
It made all the sense in the world. And we could, show them our coffee how we wanted to be shown, expose it how we wanted to be exposed. We didn't only want to bring back coffee as a product. We wanted to bring back the roots of what a good Puerto Rican is. I mean, we wanted people to connect to Puerto Rico. We wanted Puerto Rico to be an origin and people to ask, okay, where is that coffee from? Oh, it's good because it's from Puerto Rico. How the wine industry works. Oh, that wine is from Bordeaux or from Napa, or and you get, what you want to do is you want to start filling up that reputation. In order for that reputation to go up, you need many coffee farmers, not only one. So that was a good concept, We didn't have to do this, alone or whatever. And there were other people that could do the same thing, and there was a market for everybody.
Can you describe your coffee for me?
I think it's a bit like the personality of a Puerto Rican. I think it's sweet, but a little bit spicy. With a good body.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know. It has personality. It has a good personality.
Yeah.
It should leave you a smile in your face.
You need to love the agriculture, and you need to love the coffee. Don't think that you're gonna be rich, but you're gonna be very happy person in your life. I don't know, but it's my life, and I think if everybody feel like me, everybody gonna be happy in the industry.
I can say, yes, I'm a coffee farmer. What are you doing? I'm a coffee farmer. I'm proud of it. Most of my day, I am full of dirt in my boots, on my whatever, but I feel great. I don't care. It's part of my life, and I love it. And I'm gonna be doing this until my last day.
Even if you don't consume my coffee, I enjoy people that come visit and see where coffee comes from. A lot of coffee drinkers have never seen a coffee tree. They don't know that coffee is a fruit that comes from a tree, that actually it's the seed that is roasted. So we enjoy showing and teaching coffee consumers where their magic drink comes from.
Cuando estoy en mi conuco y enredado en el bejuco que no se me ve ni el pelo. Trabajar así es mi anhelo, con mi machete amolado y un avíspero al lado. dejándolas que brinquen y eso se llama el borinquen un jíbaro terminado.